We have now come to the last two parts of our series. Before we continue, I would like to fix a small bug. If you look at the description over here, you can see that this 2br tag is not being interpreted as a HTML. The reason is because here, when we use this double mustache tag, what it does is that it will display as a raw HTML tag, HTML string. That means to say no HTML tag is going to be interpreted. This is due to security reason. So in order to turn it into a HTML, all we have to do is to use a vHTML directive that Vue introduced to us. So we do it like so. vHTML, copy the entire thing, paste it in without the mustache tag, and we are done. So now Vue will know that this content has HTML content and it will be interpreted as so. And you can see that the break has appeared. So with this out of the way, now let's look at our code. If you notice, we have this whole chunk of code over here just to simply display a single movie. Now this itself may be good for small projects, but for bigger projects, when we have more contents on the bottom, at the left or the right, you can see that this can easily get bloated very fast. So in Vue, there is a concept called component. Let me show it to you over here. And you can see that we can actually embed it within a script tag and insert our content inside Vue, and we can register a component within Vue, and this is how it works. So let's make this example works for a start. So coming down here, let's just create a template and let's copy this code over here. Okay, some indentation. Alright, and we are done. So now, with this simple code, Vue will register a component called Hello World, and it will identify the template from the ID of Hello World template. So Hello World template, which is here, is going to look for this content, and it's going to be displayed whenever you create the component. So how do we do so? Let's just come to here, and all we have to do is just create a Hello World tag like so, save, and if I were to refresh in the movie, you can see that hello has appeared. So this hello is actually coming from here. Now this is great, so let's change this to suit our needs. What we want is just to, let's call it movie template, and now, and I will use this, call it movie. So we are going to rename this as movie. Yeah, and save, refresh, and you can see that it still works. Now the second thing is to understand more about component. You can see that currently we are calling the data from movies pointer, which belongs to the main Vue instance. Now for component, this data is no longer available. So what we have to do is to pass this entire data into the component. And we do that by just simply doing a props this way. Let's just call it data is equals to movies pointer. So with this code, we will still not be able to call it here like so. Okay, because we have not tell Vue to look up for this data. So coming back to the template, all we have to do is just to simply create a props, and within the props just say look up for data name, which is over here, data. So now if I were to refresh, you can see that this data is not showing up, but the reason is because we have an unexpected identifier. So let's find it out. Over here, a comma, save again, and now the data is showing up. But you notice, if you look at the console, you can see that text data is outside of root element will be ignored. Now, what this means, even though it sounds very cryptic, it's actually very simple. So for components, you should always insert all data within a single container or a single DOM. So a simple way of doing it is just to create a div and dump the entire data in, save, refresh, and now you see that the data is finally appearing. So if we want to call the name, we can just call it data.name. Yeah. However, in Vue, we are not recommended to do this. So what we are recommended to do is, instead of using the props data, we are supposed to create our own data, such as our Vue instance and reference to it. So notice the way that data is being created in a component. Right, we create a method data and we return a JSON property, and within it, let's call it movie and reference from data. So now if I were to come to our template, change this to movie, perhaps I just call it .name, and we were to save and refresh, you can see that it is still the same. So to prove that it's still working, let's just change it to ID, refresh, and it still works. Now if I were to click on the next, you can see that this data do not changes. Now the reason is because in Vue, we need to let Vue know that this slider is unique from the next slider that is going to show. Because even though their components are the same, the data is different. So to do that, if you look at the view here, you can see that what we need to do is to let Vue a hint so that it can track each other's node identity. Now what that means is to say that we just have to create a unique identifier like so. Key equals to, in this case, our unique identifier can be the pointer of the array. So I'm just going to call it pointer. Save, and if I were to come back and refresh here, and if I were to click next now, you can see that the data here finally changes. 2, 3, and so on and so forth. So with this, we can now finally port over the entire data into the component. So starting from here all the way to here. So cut it out, come into our component, remove the data here, remove this entire data, and we can just paste it in here. Indentation, and now we just have to change this movie pointer to movie, and everything should work now. Okay, save and refresh, and now if you can see that the content is still showing up, and if I were to click on the next one, the new content is shown. So now we have successfully ported the entire data into a component and look at our main code. So clean, just simply one line. So now if you were to click on the next one, you can see that we have a small little bug here. Now the reason behind this is that our pointer only stops at 3. And when it goes to the 4th one, it cannot find a movie, which is why it's showing empty. So all we simply have to do is just to say if the movie length is equal to the current pointer plus 1. If it's equal to it, all we have to do is just to reset it back to 0 and return. Or else, just plus 1 to the pointer. So now we will come back and refresh. 1, 2, 3, and it goes back to 1. So with this, our current series is almost complete. Now the last thing that we have to do is just to add in the animation like so.